and what's good? It's your girl Francine. Today is Wednesday, and today, let's talk about what we're talking. Let's get into what we're going to talk about today. So today, technically, the day I'm recording this is May 4th, May the 4th, right? Which is Star Wars Day. You know, I'm a nerd, as I consistently keep saying on here, and I love Star Wars. That is one of the few franchises that, for the most part, I'm very much deep into. I've seen the original trilogy so many times that I can quote some of it by heart. I saw the prequels in theaters when they came out. I was a kid. My dad took me and my brother to go see it when we were younger. We saw all three of them because my dad is the one who got us into Star Wars. So he wanted to keep us into Star Wars, you know? And so he went to take us to go see them when they came out. And though they may have some issues, they still serve a purpose to the movie. They still have a point. They still have a direction for the movie, right? It's the prequels. It establishes everything that happened in the original trilogy. So yeah, okay, they're necessary, right? And so every Star Wars Day, usually I watch the prequels and then the original trilogy, and I watched Clone Wars as long as that's been out because I love that show, and I watched it since it first came out, so I'm a huge fan of that as well. So it's usually my Star Wars Day. And then recently I saw Rogue One, which I actually really liked, and so I added that to the trilogy, to the you know, the viewing pleasure of May 4th as well. So I would do the prequels, Rogue One, the original trilogy, and then usually when I'm like heading to bed, I will watch Clone Wars until I fall asleep. Right? And that is usually how this day goes. It's worked for years. I've loved it. It's been great. However, as a person that claims to be a huge fan of Star Wars, I must confess that I have never seen the sequel trilogies. I just never have. I never saw Force Awakens. I actually tried to watch it and fell asleep. I was watching it with some friends. We were a little intoxicated, so they may have been part of the reason why I fell asleep. But even still now, after watching it today, I get it. But I fell asleep. Cool. Never went to go see Last Jedi. I heard horrible reviews about it, so I was like, eh. And then Rise of Skywalker, no. I thought I was too far gone at that point. But, you know, I was like, you know, I'm a huge fan of this whole universe, like Star Wars in general. I watched The Mandalorian when it came out. I even watched that, which in looking in the timeline, The Mandalorian came before the sequel trilogy, so I still haven't gotten to this part of the storyline yet. So I'm like, alright, let me watch this, see what all the hubbub is about. Is it as bad as everyone says? Or is it like the prequels? Like, I see a point in it. Like, yeah, maybe it was like not the best, but there's a point. And my answer to that question came pretty fast, and that was it. Yeah, y'all are right. If you follow me on Instagram, I made a few stories about this and how hard it was watching this and how upsetting it was for me to get through these three movies. Now, granted, sci-fi movies, and I think all the Star Wars movies, are at least 2 hours long. So they're, in a sense, longer movies, but these movies felt long. That's the first problem I have. They felt like they were going on forever. And also, side note, if you hear thunder and lightning, it is a whole hurricane in Atlanta right now. I don't know why. It's been raining since yesterday, and I don't know if it's ever gonna stop. So if you hear thunder and lightning, just pray my electric don't go out, okay? But I digress. Let's get into kind of an overview of the three movies and then my severe gripes with them. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first movie, in relation to all of them, was the easiest one to get through. The first movie was, like most first movies of a trilogy, kind of establishing characters, establishing the world that we're in, right? So we established that there is a girl named Rey who is a scavenger on Jakku, and she is linked in with this because We see a fighter pilot named Poe who has a BB-8, and he gives his BB-8 information that is the location of Luke Skywalker, because we find out Luke Skywalker disappeared. He went somewhere, no one knows where he is, right? And so we also establish that there's a stormtrooper in the beginning of this movie who defects from the stormtroopers. He totally defects and he goes with the resistance. And so that is established in this movie. We establish that Leia is the general of the resistance. We establish that, she's also trying to find Luke Skywalker. So everybody's trying to find this man. We establish that Kylo Ren is the bad guy in this situation. I guess. We get there. And Kylo Ren is on the dark side with Emperor Snoke. And he is being controlled by him on some Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine type level, right? And so, okay, that's all established. Eventually, we find Han and Chewie, who, they steal the Millennium Falcon from Jakku, which gets there somehow. Because Finn ends up on Jakku, finds Rey, who has BB-8, because their ship crashes there, and he meets up with her. They get in the Millennium Falcon, find Han and Chewie, take them to where the resistance is. Han and Leia had a little moment. How you doing? And they're like, we gotta get our son, who is Kylo Ren, because he is the son of Han and Leia. Now, mind you, I already knew everything that was gonna happen in The Force Awakens already. And so none of this was really surprising to me, but even still, I can give it credit for establishing things if these things somewhat mattered in the end. Ooh, because one thing that does happen in The Force Awakens is that Kylo Ren, to prove that he's a part of the dark side, kills Han Solo. And it's devastating. Oh no. Like, if I saw this in theaters, I feel like, and I didn't get it spoiled for me already, I feel like I would have been like a little bit like, oh my god, like, because he's like, you don't have to do this, Kylo, you're our son, we love you, like, come on with us, you can come back with this. And he's like, no. It kills him essentially. And one thing that we kind of figure out in the first movie is that Kylo Ren ain't really on the dark side as much as y'all think he is. Essentially, showing that he is not 100% in line with the dark side, which I guess if, again, this was established well in a different way, like, just the way that this ended up just made a lot of this pointless, to be quite honest, which is one of my gripes. But okay, that's The Force Awakens, right? And then, at the end, they find Luke Skywalker. Rey goes to go see Luke Skywalker, because one thing I didn't establish is that they find Luke's lightsaber, and Rey has a connection to it, which means she has the Force. She is with the Force. We don't really know why, because we in no way, shape, or form know anything about this girl. She's just a scavenger or Jakku. We have no idea who her family is. Her family left her when she was younger. No one knows anything about this girl. So then we go to The Last Jedi. Okay. We have Rey, she's with Luke Skywalker. She's supposed to be trained by him, which she technically doesn't. And that, I don't know what the point of that was, because he does not train her whatsoever. She keeps having these little, like, freaking FaceTime moments with Kylo Ren, because they besties at some point, like, for whatever reason. I don't know why they're connected. Well, they try to establish why they're connected, but it doesn't make any sense. We'll get there. Anyway, so they're supposed to be connected. They keep talking to each other. He's like, Luke didn't tell you why he tried to, like, why I tried to kill him when I was younger, because that's how he defected to the dark side. He tried to kill Luke Skywalker when he was trying to train him, because he was supposed to be a Jedi. And he's like, essentially Luke tried to kill Kylo Ren because he sees in his future that he's going to be a part of the dark side, and so he tries to kill him to end that from happening. Okay, and so then, The Last Jedi is essentially a very unnecessary movie, and that is my first gripe, that everything for the most part that happens in this movie is unnecessary. They're trying to go against the resistance, because the First Order attacks them in the beginning of the movie, the Resistance, and like destroys everything they have. And they're trying to go against the First Order in order to kind of kill them all so they can kind of, you know, they're the Resistance. This is what they're supposed to do. But they have no resources because they were pretty much deployed from their attack in the beginning of the movie. And so that's the whole convoluted way of how are we going to get the First Order? How are we going to destroy them? We don't have any resources. That whole part is so unnecessary because they had a plan that was unable to be told because Leia was injured for reasons. None of that is necessary. We don't have to go there. And the person who takes charge doesn't tell anybody what the plan is, but they make their own plan because of course they do, because they don't think she has a plan. And that plan is unnecessary because the plan they had would have worked if they didn't do it was just so dumb. It was so dumb. That's my first problem. The Last Jedi is not only unnecessary, but boring as hell. The movie is 2.5 hours, and I had to stop it midway because I couldn't finish it. It was so boring. And then we get to the Rise of Skywalker. Because we can pretty much get The Last Jedi, the way it ends. Luke appears in front of Kylo Ren and tries to act like he's going to stop him from killing them because they get there to try to kill the Resistance. He's not really there. He's just, you know, a apparition, and then he disappears because he dies. Unnecessary. They escape. Again, all unnecessary. Unnecessary. And then we get to the Rise of Skywalker, and that is where I'm going to stop for now because I can't talk about that movie without talking about every single thing I hate about this movie because it all comes to fruition in this movie. I mean, everything I hate about this trilogy because it all comes to fruition in this movie. One of the first things I hate about this trilogy is I don't give a flying squirrel, as my mom would say, about any of the two main characters. I don't care about Rey, and I don't care about Kylo Ren. I don't care about Rey because A, she's a super unlikable character. She does not give a single about anybody else but herself. Finding out why she's a part of the Force, finding out all these things about her childhood, where her parents came from. She almost defected on multiple occasions because she was trying to figure out her own storyline. She didn't give a fuck about anybody else. And that just made me so angry because of another thing I hate about this movie. Kylo Ren, Adam Driver is actually not a bad actor. I just don't think he should have played this role. Like, he was not convincing at all as a bad guy. And I already could predict that he was going to defect from the dark side anyway. It was very obvious. He had multiple occasions where he was slow to hurt people. He was slow to kill his mom. He was actually slow to kill his dad before he did. He was slow to do plenty of things that were probably going to help the dark side over the Resistance. So him defecting from the dark side was not surprising at all because he wasn't convincing as a bad guy at all. And I guess maybe they were supposed to give us some type of tension of, oh, is he going to defect? Like, it was obvious. It was obvious, okay? And also, Rey isn't a good initial character because she has no backstory until the end. I had a woosah before I got to that because that's going to be, we're getting there. But she has no backstory, and then her backstory is dumb. Oh my God, is it dumb? We're getting there. So that's my first problem. Second problem I have is there's this connection between Rey and Kylo Ren, right? They have this connection, and apparently it's a dyad in the Force, right? Somehow, some way, they are connected, even though they have never met each other before. And once they met each other, she just knew, ooh, we connected, we together. Like, why? Why? Again, not really established in this movie. Third thing, Captain Save-A-Ray is what I'm calling Finn because that's essentially what he is. He had a good storyline that could have been fleshed out very well, but every single chance he got was like, oh my God, Rey, I gotta save Rey. Oh my God, Rey, I love you. And it's like, Rey don't give a about you. It made me so angry, especially the second in the last movie, because it was just like, Rey is having her own problems that she is dealing with, that she does not care if she lives or dies or if you live or die. She's going to do whatever the fuck she wants. So why are you always trying to save this girl? She does not care. And he's just like, I gotta save Rey. Like I said, his storyline could have been fleshed out a lot more. He was a stormtrooper who defected, which that's like a whole thing in and of itself, because honestly, Finn and Poe were the only two characters I cared about in this movie. Poe, because he was the only likable character. He was the only character that had a personality that I cared about. And he was the only character that gave some type of comedic relief that actually was funny. And, you know, he was the only likable character. And Finn, because I just wanted them to do something with him. Because he could have been a more interesting character. And if I'm not mistaken, John Bodega said that he was under the impression they were going to flesh out his character, and they never did, and he was very upset about it, and that's why he would never work on Star Wars ever again, if I'm not mistaken. If so, I will insert what he actually said. He said something along those lines, which, yeah, I agree, because his story could have been so much more interesting. Someone put out there the other day that if Finn was the one who was of the Force, that would make a whole lot more sense, because he had an already established plotline, which would have been interesting to see where that went, instead of this random chick we just found on this planet is now with the Force. And again, we'll get to her origin story in a second, because that's a whole rant in and of itself. Then, like I said, the second movie is pointless. The fight scenes between Kylo Ren and Rey aren't good. They're not. They're not good. Then we get to the Rise of Skywalker. That's next in my notes. Yeah. The Rise of Skywalker, honestly, I said to myself, because I was like, The Force Awakens was establishing everything, and it was like a 6 out of 10, right? Then we have The Last Jedi, which was pointless and kind of boring. I give that a 4 out of 10. Then we have the first half of The Rise of Skywalker. Had potential, to me at least. It had potential. It was going in a good direction. Then we find out who Rey is. Now, if you've seen this movie, first of all, we start the movie off with the credits in the beginning. Emperor Palpatine is still alive. How? Because it's not like, you know how you see Obi-Wan Kenobi, you see Yoda, you see even Luke Skywalker in this movie as like a apparition. He is, you know, he has the Force, so you can still see him even though he's no longer with us, you know. He's alive. He's like a full body alive. How did that happen? How are we just ignoring? Okay. I was hoping they would explain this. They never do. Never do. I digress. And not only is Emperor Palpatine alive, but Rey somehow is Emperor Palpatine's granddaughter. How? Now, we're supposed to believe this man who was doing all this stuff to build up Anakin Skywalker to be his, you know, his predecessor of, you know, using the dark side, right? He was turning him over to the dark side. He finally did. He got him as Darth Vader, and then, you know, he was using him to do his bidding for the dark side. But he had a whole son this whole time. I guess maybe his son was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to do that. And then escaped with his apparent daughter. And that's why he tried to find her. Her parents abandoned her on this planet, and Emperor Palpatine has been trying to get her ever since. But we have not established any of this whole time. None of this came up at all. Because mind you, he dies at the end of Return of the Jedi. So when did he have this son, and when did this son go missing, and when did he try to find his granddaughter? When did all this happen? Maybe I'm missing something. If you are more versed in this, please let me know. Because it don't make no sense. But I digress. Okay. Just get me to the end of this damn movie. So then we have Princess Leia, or General Leia, I'm sorry, give her her right name, is controlling Kylo Ren to make him turn over to the good side, right? He's supposed to come to the resistance, and he just magically does, because of course he does, because no one saw this everybody saw this coming. There's been no tension whatsoever with Kylo Ren being on the dark side. I never once was like, oh my god, he's such a, like, when you saw Darth Vader in the original sequel, I mean the original trilogy, you knew like he was a bad guy. Like he had a charismatic personality. He was a bad guy, and you feared him watching these movies, and you knew that he was a bad guy. It wasn't until we got to the Return of the Jedi that in any way, shape, or form we thought he might turn over. Like every once in a while he mentioned his, you know, certain things that may, but it was never to the point. Like Kylo Ren could have killed his mother a long time ago, and I think either the Force Awakens or Last Jedi, he didn't do it because he could have killed Rey in the Last Jedi. He doesn't. He almost didn't kill his father. Like we see plenty of times where he's like, I don't think so. And it's like, but I digress. So he becomes Ben Solo, just like that. Sees his dad. His dad's like, I'm your memory. You remember me because you love me. Like, okay, fine. And then of course we have a bunch of unnecessary things. Apparently, Luke Skywalker gives Rey Leia's lightsaber for whatever reason, I guess, to give to Ben, since he gonna turn over to the light side anyway. And then honestly, Kylo Ren was unnecessary because I'm trying to figure out what his point in everything was. Because yeah, he was supposed to be the bad guy in the first 2 movies, but honestly, he didn't have to be. Like, he didn't have to be. We could have had something else. And one thing that I found out while looking up this movie while I was watching, I want to say The Last Jedi, is that Disney really didn't have a plan. Because mind you, George Lucas sold Disney the Star Wars sequel and Lucasfilms in general in 2012, I think. And going in, I'm 100% sure they was like, how are we gonna make money off of this? Let's find out. Get us J.J. Abrams and let's make a movie. Bet. Let's do it. And they made The Force Awakens, and J.J. Abrams apparently made this whole situation that was supposed to happen. And then they got a whole new director. They were like, no, F J.J. Abrams. They got a whole new person, and J.J. Abrams left a whole lot of stuff open to interpretation. And that person was like, let's do all this stuff. And The Last Jedi was not anything really that was establishing much from the story of The Force Awakens. And then Rise of Skywalker apparently had a whole nother director who was just like, let's do this. Emperor Palpatine's alive again. Yeah, let's do that. Like, and then she goes to where he is, where Palpatine is, and they have this whole long convoluted thing of how to try to find out where he is, and she finally finds out where he is, and he's like, kill me, you'll take my throne, and you can save your friends. And she decides not to. Until the end of the movie where she kills him. Because she couldn't get in the... Okay, so I realized, you know, looking back, that the reason why she didn't kill him in the beginning was because he kept saying she had to do it out of anger, which would have turned her over to the dark side, and she didn't want to go over to the dark side. So the reason why she was able to kill him in the end of the movie was because she had the powers from all the Jedi and the Force within her and all that great stuff that happens. Yeah. And that made it different from her doing it out of anger, apparently. You know, that's after Palpatine sucked the energy out of her and Kylo Ren, so I'm guessing that is why it was different. Which, okay, cool, but still frustrating, nonetheless. She could have did it like 40 minutes before the ending of this movie, but no, we had to get Kylo Ren to come in, and they're fighting, and he told them they're a dyad, and they're in love, and then we end this with, I'm every Jedi, it's all in me. Okay, all the Jedis call out to Rey, Rey, use the Force, Rey. The Force is in you, Rey. And she ends up killing Emperor Palpatine anyway. And then, you know, I did a review of Coming to America, and in that I said, sometimes you need to just leave a good movie by itself. Like, you don't need to make a sequel. It's so unnecessary. And I get something like The Mandalorian that plays off of the universe, but isn't really about the people from the original sequel, the original trilogy, I mean. And I can understand something like Solo movie, which wasn't that great, but okay, like, you know, it did its thing. I can understand something like Rogue One, which establishes a little bit more about the original trilogy's storyline. But this was extremely, A, unnecessary, and B, not thought out at all. You can tell they didn't think this out. You can tell there wasn't a plan, because there were so many things that seemed like they were just thrown at a wall at the end. Like, hey, she's Palpatine. Hey, we have to go to this planet to find Emperor Palpatine, who's somehow still alive. and Kylo Ren and her are the dyad of the Force because that's how they're connected to each other. And also there's other stormtroopers who defected. We find that out. Like, there's just all these things that come out at the end of this where it's just like, y'all really ain't, y'all just want to make some money. And Disney, I don't understand why you need to keep making money. Like, y'all have so many things that can make you money. Like, y'all don't need to do this to a very beloved trilogy, like a very beloved like universe. Like, when I watched the new like Star Trek, right? I watched new Star Trek movies, and yeah, they kind of defect a little bit from the originals, but not to this point, not to this money grabbing of a point. Like, if you liked the trilogy, please let me know what about it you liked. Like I said, The Force Awakens is acceptable. The Last Jedi is unnecessary, and Rise of Skywalker, halfway through the movie, I almost rage quit because there's like, oh yeah, she's Palpatine. And I'm like, how the fuck? Like, almost. I was this close, and I was like, let me finish this damn movie because I'm happy I never saw any of these in theaters because I'd be that person. Y'all be like, damn, why is she yelling? It'd be me. It would be me. Oh my god, it would so be me. So I'm happy I never saw them, and I will never see them again. Apparently they're supposed to be making new ones that possibly will erase all of these from existence anyway. So what was the reason? In my Cardi B voice, what was the reason? What was the reason? That being said, I'm gonna stop ranting about this because literally I can keep going all day. But I really didn't want to make this a long video. I don't know how long it is. I can't see this far because I'm blind from where my camera is. But yeah, I will never watch these movies again. I might do a review of The Mandalorian before the new season comes out. Curious how they're gonna do that with old girl not being in it, but we'll see. That being said, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, or suggestions for other like nerdy things you want me to talk about. This was like, I did the Black Panther one and everybody was watching, like was commenting on that one, so I was like, let me get my nerdy people back involved. Let's do some nerdy stuff, not just hip hop reviews and movie reviews and stuff. So yeah, that being said, like I said, if you have any suggestions, put them in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. I am trying my best to keep content coming, even if it angers me. Because I almost, like I said, almost rage quit this movie. So we almost didn't get this video. I was probably going to just skip today and take this as a rest day. But I had to get me a drink because yikes. But that being said, I will see y'all on Friday. Friday's video is going to be a video that was supposed to come out last month that didn't come out, so I'm gonna look totally different, but y'all gonna like the video, I think. So with that being said, I'll see you on Friday. Bye.